What is the next era in bodybuilding? Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here, and today I'm starting my first Q&A segment answering a very popular question, which is, if we had the Bronze Era, the Silver Era, the Golden Era, and the Mass Monster Era, then what is the next era in the evolution of bodybuilding? This is a great question, so let's have a look at answering this question. Firstly, I am responsible for defining the eras in bodybuilding which the bodybuilding world seems to have adopted, with the Bronze Era being between 1900 and 1930, corresponding with no steroids in the scene and bona fide natural physiques. The Silver Era between 1930 and 1960, with the synthesis of testosterone, larger physiques, and early steroid experimentation. The Golden Era between 1960 and 1990, with increased steroid use and ever larger and more defined physiques, yet still aesthetic. And the recent Mass Monster Era, which saw its beginning with Dorian Yates and Ronnie Coleman, through to the Jay Cutlers, the Phil Heaths, and Big Ramis. Physiques that are huge and massive and ripped, and no doubt achieved through PED abuse. And if we use this 30-year period ending from the Golden Era up to now, then we can assume that this Mass Monster Era has run its due course, because it should have been between 1990 until 2020. However, it is obvious that in open bodybuilding, we are seeing bigger and more ripped physiques than ever. Some have called this current era the Mutant Era, including me, and I could easily coin the term. But I think this current bodybuilding era is not that easy to define, as there are other factors to consider and developments in the iron game. Firstly, we are living through this new 30-year period, and we are only 5 years into it. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would have noticed that bodybuilders are dying younger by the year, an observation that I proved in my recent publication titled The Golden Paradox: Mortality Trends Across 3 Years of Bodybuilding Between 1900 and 1990. This concern in the health of athletes, which has been going on since the first high-profile deaths were recorded, likely led to the birth and rise of classic physique. A hark back to the golden era of bodybuilding that focused on aesthetics as opposed to extreme mass monster physiques with extreme size, bloated midsections, or GH gut if you want to call it that, and just an overall lack of aesthetic presentation. However, it has not stopped open bodybuilding from continually showcasing even bigger physiques, and the Mass Monster Era persists. Even classic physique, which at its infancy showcased physiques that likely depended on less PED use. The current state is presenting larger and more ripped physiques, surpassing the look of the 80s and 90s, and already starting to claim high-profile deaths as they begin to follow the trend of open bodybuilding. As mainstream bodybuilding continues to spiral down a road of no return, an emerging rise in the popularity in the natural bodybuilding scene is happening and is accelerating at a fantastic rate. I believe that increasing transparency in PED use, increased knowledge in the subject of PED use, and athletes that are actually coming out and admitting to use and abuse of PEDs have helped shed light on the matter and allowed those that wish to consciously make the decision to not use PEDs to stand up and be heard and counted. These are the noble natties that are rising, and one could argue then that a parallel in this era is occurring, a renaissance in natural bodybuilding, so to speak, or as some call it, the Platinum Natty Era. So as you can see, it is very hard to name this current era as it is still developing. However, if I was to name it, I would call it the Mutant / Natty era, an era with opposing parallels. And thanks to increased knowledge and social media, it is now apparent to see what occurs when PEDs are abused. Freaky mutant physiques develop, or worse, severe side effects, but usually with the cost of decreased health and longevity, which one cannot associate with strength and health at all. It is also apparent that with channels such as my own, which educate on the methods of lifters from periods before the advent of steroids, empower natural lifters with knowledge of real natural bodybuilding, allowing those that wish to pursue health, longevity, and strength to do so. So I hope that I've answered this question in my first Q&A. And if you have enjoyed this video, then please give the video a like, subscribe, and leave me your comments. What would you call this current era? I would like to know. I would like to hear your comments. And that's it from me. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now, and thanks for watching. Head to www.goldenerabookworm.com for the biggest range of classic old school bodybuilding books as ebooks, e-magazines such as Iron Man and Reg Park Journal, high quality bodybuilding posters of the Golden Era stars, merchandise and classic gymwear featuring Steve Reeves, Marvin Eder, John Grimmick, Reg Park, and many other Golden Era stars. For those wishing to build a classic physique, lose fat, and build muscle, online training is also available. Collectibles such as rare autographed photos from the Golden Era stars are also available, and to collaborate, please get in touch. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these 3 books, as I call it, the Classic Physique Bundle, are Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com.